such an honor to be here with you. My name is Miss Lakita, and I'm going to be moderating this amazing panel. But guess what? If you notice, I was talking to you without the microphone, so I'm going to be talking to you. I want you to think about some questions that you may have for these ladies. I have a few questions, but I like how you're shaking your head back at me. That means I love that. Yes, you're a leader. I love that. So I love when you shake your head back. If there's something that the ladies say and you have a question right away, just raise your hand because I want to make sure that thank you, that your questions are answered. So before we get started, we're gonna talk a little bit, but we're gonna do some stuff a little bit. How many people out there know that you run the world? Raise your hand if you believe that you run the world. Okay, hey, yes, I love that. Clap for yourself. Yes, 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 yes. And you know what? One of the things that Alderwoman Cogg said, if you want something, you need to ask for it. So for this group right here, I want one of those shirts. I want to be a part of whatever group you're on because it says, follow the leader. I love that. I love the shirt and what it stands for, and it's pink. It's my favorite color. All right, we're going to get started because we have some amazing women up here. So I'm going to start with Miss Erica. I want you to say your name and why public service?
Well, good morning, ladies. It is so wonderful to see all of you here today. And just quick thank you to Alderwoman Coggs for letting me participate. So my name is Erica Roberts. I am the Commissioner of Building Inspection for the Department of Neighborhood Services. And I'll say this for this group, I'm the first female commissioner in the role. Can you guys hear me okay? Yeah. All right, great. So why public service? Well, people ask me that all the time because we do difficult jobs here, but I think we all love our jobs. And I do this because I love the city of Milwaukee, and I really believe in our city. I like making an impact to the community, and a lot of what we do in the Department of Neighborhood Services is making sure that people have safe buildings in which to live and play and do their things every day. And it's really important to me as a mom especially to help create that safe environment for everybody throughout our entire city. I've lived in this city since I was old enough to pick where I wanted to live at the age of 17, and I've never left. And so for me, it's just about giving back to a community that I love, that has supported me, and really made me the adult that I am today.
We're going to go down the row.
Good morning, everybody. Can you hear me well?
Yes.
I like to be loud because then you get seen, okay? So remember that. My name is Bernadette Karanja. I'm originally from Kenya, which is why you hear a little bit of an accent. I'm Kenyan American and have lived in Milwaukee for the last 20 plus years, raised my daughter here since she was about 4 years old. She's now 26 and is a software engineer. I am so pleased and humbled to be a part of the staff of the Common Council, City Clerk's office. I head their first Office of Workforce Development. So my work is around helping people get jobs, and not just get any job, but to just get a job that is something that you love and that's a career that you can follow, something that you have passion for, something that you feel you can work for even at your darkest times, even at your happiest times, something that gives you purpose. And so it is really a privilege for me to work with all of the council members. I serve all of them, which means that directly, I'm serving the entire city of Milwaukee, the constituents of the city of Milwaukee. And the reason why I love public service is because I think I'm called to it. I feel that I'm called to it, and that because of that, and because of my love for this community and what it has done for me, how it helped me get to where I am, I want to give back. And that's why I'm here. And it's wonderful to have all of you beautiful ladies here with us. I hope we inspire you, and I hope we help you understand that leadership is about service, leadership is about humility, leadership is about bravery, leadership is about passion, and leadership is truly about loving yourself first, so you believe in yourself before you do anything else for anyone else. Thank you, girls, and have a wonderful day.
Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Jessica Butler. I am the Community Engagement Coordinator at 414 Life. And to answer Lakita's question about why public service is not something that sometimes you're always chosen to do. For me, I just wanted to do this. I've been doing public service for many years, and it's in me, it's in my family, it's deeply ingrained to my very being. And so the question is always, why not? And I always look for opportunities to serve and go above and beyond. And so no matter who it is, where I'm at, and people in the community, random kids, they can attest to, I'm always just pulling up like, hey, you okay? What y'all doing? So I'm like the community auntie, so to speak. But that's why public service is just in me. My parents have ingrained that in us from a very young age about being a part of a collective, and we all have a sort of a responsibility to the collective, and our collective is our city, our families, our schools, each other. So when you see each other, you should see yourself, and everything that you do should be a reflection of this collective. And so we are here to serve in any capacity, not beyond our titles. The titles mean nothing if we're not doing anything behind it.
I don't know how I can follow that, but my name is Makda Fessahaye. I am the Director of the Department of Employee Relations for the City of Milwaukee, which means that I had the Human Resources Department for the city. I've been here for a year, and public service has been a big part of my career. Before joining the City of Milwaukee, I was working for the Department of Corrections as an attorney, and then I became appointed by Governor Evers to run the adult prisons, making me the first Black person to do so and the youngest person to be in that position. And then I joined the City of Milwaukee, and I'm really excited to be here today. I report directly to the mayor, and I'm actually one of the youngest member of his cabinet, and I believe the first Black person in my position. And so to answer the question as to why public service is important, I'm going to be honest. The reason I got into public service is because that's where I was going to get a job. But in reality, I knew that public service is going to not only give me an opportunity to thrive in my career, but also to allow me the opportunity to give back and to do things with purpose and to do things with impact. And so every organization that I've worked for has a mission to serve its residents, to serve its people and its care. And that is something that I'm from Milwaukee. I deeply conform to that ideology that we have to be of service to each other and to one another. And being in public service has really allowed me to do that in different ways. And some positions like mine, we don't necessarily have direct impact to the citizens of the City of Milwaukee, but we certainly have impact within the City Hall complex and throughout the City of Milwaukee as an entity. And whatever we can do to make, the workplace better, for example, in human resources, that means that we can operate better as a city and we can operate better for our residents. So really happy to be here, and thank you all for joining us today.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Kacee, Ochalek, she, hers. I'm a community outreach coordinator at the Department of City Development in our Neighborhood Improvement Development Corporation, which is a nonprofit arm of DCD, and I support the Healing Spaces Initiative. So we beautify vacant lots alongside residents and community organizations for places for people to relax and enjoy. And the question, why public service, I think I will reiterate all of us in saying that it was something that I just felt called to. And it felt great to hear that, because I was like, man, am I alone? And that there's this calling, this thing that just takes me to the City of Milwaukee and wanting to be in this career. So it feels really good that that's something that we all kind of feel. And why I stay in public service is because I love being a part of the City of Milwaukee. I think it's a really unique time to be able to share our opinions and make changes where we need them, and that I feel really listened to here, and that feels really good. And just to be able to support residents and be able to speak with residents, and they have this issue or something's wrong or something they like is happening, and being able to corroborate with them and help them and support them, that just means the world to me.
Thank you. And look at these. Let's give it up for this powerhouse team up here. Listen. What I loved about what they had to say is that it's about walking in your purpose. And when I look out in the audience, there's so much amazing purpose and leaders and humility. And I want to ask the ladies, I'm not going to say in any particular order, when you're walking in your purpose, when you're doing what you're called to do, obstacles come in your way. There's going to be moments where you just want to give up and throw in the towel. But guess what? I'm so glad that you all didn't throw in the towel, because you're going to teach us today how to persevere. So could you share with the audience a time in your career where there was a huge obstacle and you almost wanted to quit, but you didn't? And what was the lesson that you learned from that obstacle?
I'll go. So one of the obstacles that I faced during my career, and so just a little background, I spent the last 10 years primarily doing youth development work between the Boys and Girls Club and COA Youth and Family Centers. And so youth work is definitely my passion. And if you worked in nonprofit in Milwaukee, you know there are tons of obstacles. And so one of the recent obstacles that I did face before I made my transition was making that difficult decision to leave direct service work to go into a different position, primarily related to gun violence prevention in our city. And that was really tough because my children that I call my babies, they felt like, you know, I was leaving them, but I found ways to still connect with them. So like that's a huge obstacle, making those type of decisions, and you all will be faced with those. And when I made this transition to a completely different field, I was like super scared and doubting myself, like, oh my God, I'm not doing well. I don't want to be here. I want to go back to where it was comfortable. And youth development was comfortable for a decade. And so that was huge. So trying to make sure I stayed present, make sure that I was able to continue this walk. And so the key to that is having people around you who believe in you, people who support you. That was really, really important for me. My homegirls, my sisters, my family, like that was key. So as I sit here and see all of you beautiful young women, having your support from your sister friends and your like that's going to get you so far. And that's like one of the reasons why I was able to continue on and why I'm still here today. I did not give up despite feeling that I wanted to. So but knowing and being affirmed. So affirm yourself and making sure that you are listening to your intuition, making sure that you are having wise counsel and not letting that little voice in the back of your head telling you like, oh, you're not good enough. Like that matters. So making sure that you stand firm in who you are and always being truth and speaking truth to power keeps you in your purpose.
I can go. Actually, to piggyback off of what you just said, so when I first started as the administrator of the adult prisons for the Department of Corrections, let me tell you, my first week was rough. I had been at the Department of Corrections for about 5 years, and all of a sudden, people that were my colleagues, my coworkers, I was all of a sudden their boss. And that by itself caused maybe some issues, and there's maybe someone that can relate here to that. And that caused issues because what it did is that there were doubts about my qualifications. There were doubts about how I got the job. You know, who does she know? How'd she get here? Even though these were people that I had worked with for about 5 years. And that can cause a lot of self-doubt. That can cause a lot of insecurity, a lack of confidence. And one thing that I had to rely on was my support system, and to just make sure that I still had a good head on my shoulders, to make sure that it wasn't about proving them wrong, it was about proving myself right, that I knew that I was going to be able to take on the challenge, even if people thought that I wasn't qualified, that I could still do it and I could prove it to myself that I would be able to be successful in my position, and make sure that that ultimately I wasn't there for them. I was there for the purpose and the mission of the organization. And so really relying on your support system, be it girlfriends, be it family, is really important. But also reminding yourself that honestly, like, you're that girl, right? And don't let anybody else tell you that you're not, because if you listen to all those voices, as Jessica said, that will really cause you a lot of pain and anguish. And so just continue to remind yourself that no matter what, you are capable of whatever you set your mind to. And if you continue to instill that confidence in yourself, and when you can't, make sure that you reach out to other people to help bring you up, you'll be okay.
All right. So there's just so many nuggets. You see, I'm taking notes up here. So there's a couple nuggets I want to lift up. You're that girl. Listen, sometimes you're not going to have people cheerleading you on. And so you have to believe and speak over yourself. You are that, let's say that, you are that girl.
You are that girl.
I want to see it in your face. You are that girl. You are that girl. Yeah, so you got to say it like you believe it. You're capable to anything that you set your mind to. Say, I am capable of anything that I set my mind to.
I am capable of anything that I set my mind to.
And you're not proving anybody else right. You got to prove yourself right. You're not competing with anybody else. I thought that was, just real good. I can't wait to hear more of what the women have to say. So as you looking out into the future, there are going to be young girls who are going to take your spot. I believe there's going to be a young lady sitting in that spot right there. So what should they be doing right now to be prepared to do what it is that you do? I'm going to start with you, Erica.
Well, it's a good question. There's sort of two parts to that, right? There's what do you want to do with a career? And I realize you're starting to think about that as you are in high school and middle school and you're thinking about college. And certainly think a little bit about what inspires. One thing I would always say is don't just think about how you're going to pay the bills, because the truth is you're going to have to pay the bills for the rest of your life. But find a way to pay the bills that makes you inspired to go to work every day and do something greater than yourself. I also think it's really important to start to develop that inner voice and listen to that inner voice. It's there, it's easy at your age, and certainly even at our ages, to sometimes, as my panelists have said, sort of doubt what you're thinking, but begin to know yourself and trust yourself, because then whatever you decide to do to pay the bills, you're going to be in a strong position to do that. Because you will face challenges. You'll face life challenges. You'll face just personal things that come up for you, but certainly if you start to really know who you are, that's all you need to take yourself forward.
Erica just mentioned life challenges. So I've been thinking about what I should tell you ladies, and I think it's important I do. As I said earlier, I'm not from here. I'm originally from Kenya. And the reason why I left that beautiful country with 365 days of summer where you just throw your windows out and it's 70 degrees during the day and 45, 50 degrees in the evening, no heating, no cooling. I had to leave because I got into a bad marriage that made sure that I was going to be unsafe for me and my daughter. And so when two people who did not know each other said to me, pick up your kid, get some money and a ticket, and get out of here because you'll be in a body bag in 7 days. Two people who didn't know each other. I had to gather myself and decide, where am I going to go? What am I going to do? And I'm going to share with you the 7 principles that I created within myself to allow me to survive that very difficult life challenge and become who I am today. So I got on a plane from a ticket purchased by my church members, $300 in my pocket that my church members gave me, my passport, my child, and 2 bags, and landed in New Jersey, Newark, New Jersey. Luckily for me, I had a good background from home in the sense that I already had a visa, what they call a multiple visa. So you could travel for 5 years straight back and forth between the United States and here without a problem. And so that's what I used. Luckily, I was also very big on my education. So by the time I got here, I had 2 degrees. I had my first degree in education, and my second degree it was a master's in business administration. The first one honors, the second cum laude. And I have to say to you guys, that's one of my principles. Study, study, study. Study because for most of us, girls and women, the only pathway we have to economic independence is to study. Okay, so how many of you like to study? Show me with a show of hands. Not so many of us. Okay, but I will tell you, it's not just about the study of books. It's about the study of what you love, studying a craft, studying a passion that you have. Become so good at it that you become the Simone Biles of your passion. And this other principle I'll tell you is that while you're studying, you must be able to combine that studying with a passion and a dream that you aspire to have. That passion and that dream, however, will not come to fruition if you do not have discipline and structure that combines with that passion and that dream. So getting on that plane and coming this way, I was like, oh my goodness, how am I gonna do this? I landed in Milwaukee, got some friends to help me to get to Milwaukee, and the first thing I see is this city hall. And I say, wow, that is such a beautiful building. It looks very much like something I have seen, because I used to travel to Europe, something I have seen in Hamburg, Germany. Looks exactly like it. I wonder how it's like to work over there. Now, if I didn't have the dream, if I didn't have the passion, and my passion is this community, and especially low-income families in this community. If I did not have that passion and I coupled it with structure and discipline, I really do not believe Alderwoman Cogs would have ever known I existed, right? Which is how I ended up heading their first Office of Workforce Development at the Common Council. It takes the third principle, the fourth principle, I think I'm on the fourth principle, is be brave and courageous. When I first got called to work here, when I first got called to my first job here in the United States, it was unnerving. And like my panelists have said, I almost self-sabotage myself. And I would say, well, I'm from a different country. I have an accent. People think I have a stick-up my, okay? Because I come from a British Commonwealth environment where people usually walk like this, okay? And so I felt like I didn't belong. So what did I need to do to feel that I belonged and I became accepted? I had to be courageous and I had to be brave. And finally, you have to have faith in yourself. Love yourself. Because if you don't love yourself, then you will not be able to have empathy for other people who are like you, who will need to have the love from you in order to feel accepted. Now, if you go through challenges like the life challenge I have gone through, then you become a little empathetic. If it doesn't damage you, you become empathetic. And you become empathetic so that you can help people. Tell me, what do you think empathy means, ladies? Show off. Somebody tell me, empathy. What is empathy? It's no right or wrong answer. Just tell me. Yes, ma'am. Being able to understand. Speak up a little bit more, hon. Put themselves in your shoes. Yes, being able to understand somebody and putting yourself in their shoes. In public service, if you don't have that, you're not going to be able to provide that service, okay? So that's very, very important. And then one last thing, always, always have faith in God, so that when things are going really well, you remain humble. And when things are going really bad, you know, you have a shoulder to cry on that's not a shoulder that you would be expecting, but a shoulder to cry on, which is God. So that's what I felt in my heart to tell you, ladies, and I hope I've inspired you a little bit.
Jessica, I have a question for you. The question is, if you could go back and you were their age, what would you tell yourself?
I would say, don't be a victim of circumstance. And I say that because, like, some of you may be able to relate. I come from probably one of the most disadvantaged backgrounds, and we moved around a lot, highly unstable, like, family situation. Lots of stuff was always going on, and I felt like I didn't always have, like, adult support. And so in many ways, I put myself in adult roles and have to deal with adult challenges as a child that I should not have. And then it eventually led to, like, me having to be a victim of our circumstance. Like, so I didn't aspire to do much. Honestly, when I was in high school, by my junior, senior year, a lot of things were happening in our family life, and I barely went to school, barely graduated, and I had no clue what was happening next. And then life was, like, as they say, come at you fast. And so as a teenager, I think one of the things that I would definitely do is, like, just dare to dream and dare to just get past what you are currently experiencing. It is tough being a teenager, and I say that, you know, as I'm dealing with teenagers, and I'm with especially, like, with my young people in my family, and I see the struggles, the daily struggles. But, like, you are more than your circumstance. You are more than where your family is right now. You are more than the community that you're living in. Despite what they say, you are so much more. And that's one, I promise you, if y'all can take anything away from that, you are more and you deserve more. Sometimes as young people, you may feel like you don't deserve because you have been given a hand that you did not choose. And despite that, you can. So if there are any safe adults in your life, lean on them. Let them know that you need them. And we can see it sometimes, but sometimes you have to be able to say, I need you, I need help. And as a teenager, I wish I had told someone that I needed help, that I was going through a lot. And I think that, like, that's the biggest advice, like, I can say is never be a victim of circumstance. Your circumstances will always change, and no feeling is final. No feeling. So that's...
Thank you. Yes. Could you stand up, please? Say what school you go to and your name.
I'm going to say Marcus, and my name is Jayla. My question for all of you is, how did you guys gain the confidence to do what you wanted to do?
Did you all hear her question? No. So she said, how did you all gain the confidence, phenomenal question, by the way, to do what it is that you do?
When I was in college, I decided that the worst someone could say to me was no. I first practiced it when I asked someone out and they said no. And it wasn't, you know what I mean? Like, it hurt a little, but I was like, whatever, I'm moving on. And then I was like, I can do this everywhere, you know? All I have to do is ask. And that translated into me asking for informational interviews with nonprofit leaders that I thought had exciting jobs, something that I would want to do. It translated into me going to a lot of office hours with my professors, bothering them about what their career path was. And sometimes, you know, I think in the last couple of years, I lost that a little, and I became a little bit more unsure as I was getting into my career path. But in the last year, I've kind of regained that confidence. I've centered myself in a way that it just comes more naturally. And I think a lot of what we've said is, like, surrounding yourself with a group of people who love and support you unconditionally. And I had to really go out and find that. And now that I have it, I have this group of girls who I can call. I called on my way here and I was like, I'm on a panel. And they're like, you're gonna do great, you know? And, like, that just feels so good. To find people that are there for you, and the worst that someone can say is no.
I'll also answer that question. So when I was in middle school, I went to a lot of different schools growing up, and I went from an all-black school to an all-white suburban school, and I was a little bit shy and I was a little bit introverted. And what actually helped me, which might be relatable to all of you, is I started participating in forensics competitions, and I did high school theater. And that helped me start speaking in front of people. That helped me with my presence. And it teaches you to fake it till you make it, right? You don't always have to be the strongest person in the room. You don't always have to be the most confident. If you're not as confident, that's okay. You can get there. Just don't let people see you sweat. And if they do, that's okay too, right? So for me, I had to really learn how to be confident through the activities that I was a part of in middle school and in high school. And as Kacee said, there are going to be times where you're going to be unsure, but you have to remind yourself that you can still do it. And the confidence, maybe you start something and you're not as confident, but as you're in the process of it, you might be more and more confident. That's good. That's okay. But just remind yourself, you don't always have to be the strongest person in the room.
Was there anyone else who wanted to answer?
I wanted to.
Okay, yes, you can go on.
So confidence will change over your lifetime. And when I was younger, my confidence came through just being really smart. And although, like I said, I struggled in high school, but I was always read. So arm yourself with knowledge. That's something people can never take from you. And as a woman, even now in 2022, when you walk into rooms, people will underestimate you. And so, like she said, you don't got to be the strongest person in the room, but if you know your stuff, that'll always work for you. So I knew my stuff when I was in spaces. And if I didn't know, I armed myself with that knowledge beforehand. So when you are in those spaces and you show up and when it's your turn, you show out. And then in my adulthood, definitely, I get my confidence sometimes through music. I rock out to my Beyonce playlist, and so listen, my niece can tell you, she here, we are Beehive members, and so sometimes you need that extra boost. When you walk into an unsure situation, I did it today. I was I don't know about the panel discussion, but Beyonce gave me my boost today. We got this.
Okay, yes.
I think for me, it's two things. One, I found a mentor. I found somebody older than me who I could share my fears and share my concerns and share my feelings of inadequacy. And then they would help me because I trusted their feedback. They would help me walk through those things that I was feeling, I was self-sabotaging myself with. That's one. Two, when I was little, one of my teachers made me sit in front of 300 kids and talk. And it was the most terrifying thing. But by the time I was done with it, I was sweating and really didn't know what I had said, but later on the kids said, "You really did good." And so sometimes it's just about really just standing up with courage and going ahead and doing it, and being surrounded, by people, like Kacee said, who love you and who will give you the courage you need to keep going.
I saw your hand first, and then I'll come, and then.
My name. I was always proud. I was sent to my grades. I'm hard. And I was like, hold on, it's up, I gotta get here. But once I was after, how do you guys handle on the high school?
That is multiple. Yes. First of all, I just want to thank both of you for you going first, but I want to thank you for being vulnerable, because sometimes we hurt ourselves when we don't peel the layers. It looks like we have everything together, but we don't. So thank you so much for being vulnerable, but how do you live up to the standards and the pressures that you have in your role and quote unquote title? Anyone can take that question.
I'll start. I guess it's only pressure if you let it be, right? So I agree. I'm the first female commissioner of this job, and it is a job that has always been held by men. I'm usually one of the only women in the room. In meetings, I've been asked to find the secretary, if I'm there to bring them their drinks. If, I'm not even joking. I've even had someone say to me in a meeting, not when I worked for the city, I stepped away briefly, well, you wouldn't understand, you're a woman. And I was like, hold up. And once I reined my temper back, because I was not about to snap, even though I wanted to, I realized in that moment that you only give away your power if you let someone take it. And to speak to your question about expectations, there's a lot of expectations placed on all of us. And for me, I guess I know what I can do and I know what I can't do. And giving yourself some grace and permission to take a break, permission to make a mistake. It's not the end of the world when you make a mistake. It might feel like it in that moment. We'll keep going and you will be just fine. And really just allowing yourself the freedom to explore who you're going to be in that moment. People's expectations of you, is it hard being a woman? Or I don't like that you're a woman in this job. And I'm like, I've been a woman my whole life. I'm okay with it. That's a you problem, not a me problem. Give yourself grace. Give yourself permission to misstep. It's not the end of the world. You'll be okay.
I would like to tag team with what you said. It took me a long time to learn this. No is a complete sentence.
Yeah.
No. There's no talking back about it. No. And it's okay to say I'm not okay. Like learning that, I wish I had learned that at a younger age.
Yeah, I'll say too, especially as young people, sometimes you feel disempowered because adults are usually setting the tone. But like the pressure is like, you don't have to own that. And when you said that, I just thought of like Louise off and Kacee. Sorry, I love her song that she sang. But like, you don't have to own that. Like you said, give yourself grace, give yourself permission to rest. Like you deserve that. You deserve not to like try to rise to anybody else's standard. And honestly, you are the standard. So you set your standard for yourself and know that, and you rise to what you want to be, and take it step by step. You have your whole entire life ahead of you. And as far as for me in my position, I just don't allow people in any facet of my life to set an expectation for me. Usually I'm the one setting expectations. Like, listen, when you are a boss, like you have to like own that. Like you are a boss, you are a leader, you are your own person, and in your divine being, that you set the standard at all times, and you don't owe anyone anything ever. Like y'all don't owe people, and so just live your life like that, and you walk and you command presence. You take up space because you deserve that. So like, and it goes back to what someone was saying earlier about affirming yourself and knowing who you are, so you don't feel that pressure. So I just listen. I'm gonna do my thing, and I am going to do it well. And if I make a mistake, I own it. So be accountable to you and people around you, and own mistakes, and just know you'll be all right. Life goes on.
Can I add one thing? When I was in college, I read this really good book. I can't remember the whole name, but part of it was Excellent Sheep. And it talks a lot about how we are expected to graduate, get good grades, go to school, graduate again, and then go into a career. I think something out of that book and just in general that's really helped me is looking outside of like the culture that I'm in, the Midwest culture that I'm in, looking at examples of people having different interesting career paths outside of the Midwest or Milwaukee, and not holding myself to what people expect of me or what I should be doing, and giving myself grace to do something different is being, and I really appreciate that.
I'll just add a very brief comment. Take things one step at a time. I think sometimes, I'll say this for me personally, and even right now, like I want to take on everything. I want to change everything. You can't do that, right? So you have to just take things one step at a time, breathe, figure out what you can and cannot do, and also be willing to be vulnerable, be willing to be transparent about what you can't do. I think a lot of people fear that means that you're weak, and that doesn't mean that you're weak. It means that you know what exactly you can and cannot do. And so I would just say take it one step at a time, and you don't have to tackle everything in one, at what time.
If I may, just let me finish with the expectations piece, because that's really, really important. We women tend to have people around us expect so much more of us. We are mothers, we are career women, we are sisters, we are wives, significant others, and then we have our careers. And so sometimes what's really important when those expectations, especially for those of us here, as you can see, who are gifted people, who are intelligent people, we need to learn how to create boundaries. Healthy boundaries for ourselves, so that when those expectations become a little too much and they begin to take your power away from you, then you begin to say no. Like we said, no is a complete sentence, and own it. Make sure that you have healthy expectations for yourself, healthy boundaries for yourself, so that people don't bully you into doing more than you can do, and so that you also have very healthy mental health. We really need that these days. So boundaries, healthy boundaries is important.
My name is Zanaya Johnson. I attend Milwaukee Excellence High School. I typed some questions earlier when I was listening to you guys. And I want to know, what inspired you to be part of changing the community? What did you see that made you think, I can change this? And also, how does it make you feel to know that you are making a change for the women in the future?
Good question.
I don't know if anyone else has background in doing direct service. I kind of fell into direct service. I had quit a job, and someone called me from the Boys and Girls Club that worked there, and they were like, "Are you looking for work?" And I'm like, yeah. So then I just interviewed, and I never knew that working with youth would be my passion. I had grown up in community centers and things like that, and so getting the opportunity then to work at Clark Street Boys and Girls Club, and I did two jobs: the CLC program and the Spark Early Literacy program. And it was there that I developed my passion, and seeing young people who needed us, who gravitated towards us, who was just they love being around us, and it was there that my youth passion, my work for youth, definitely started. And then as my career took me other places, I always gravitated back to working with youth. And so in terms of direct work in the community, I also help to coordinate these block parties every year with Heal the Hood Milwaukee, and we go around to different communities and bring resources and entertainment and free food. And so which was founded by one of my close friends, Butler. And so seeing the joy in the community's face, and knowing that people have an opportunity to be in spaces that are free of gun violence, free of conflict, just even if it's for 5 or 6 hours that we're out there, that brings me an immense amount of pleasure that I can't describe. So when you are serving, whatever that looks like, and I've worked in many different capacities, and serving, you see something that sparks something in you, and I am here to stay. And so even in my current work, I don't do a whole lot of direct service, but I do go out and do outreach with our outreach team with 414 Life, and talking to residents throughout Milwaukee just randomly, and talking about their concerns, how they feel about gun violence in their communities, and how can we serve them, what do they need, and how do we show up for them. That is kind of what inspires me. That's the people keep me going. And so I think I encourage you all, if you can find anything that you're passionate about to even volunteer with, do that, because that's how you stay connected to people. That's how you make change through everyday interactions and build relationships, because you never know when you may see your neighbor or someone that you encounter at a grocery store again, and how they may be able to work with you in the future. So build those relationships and find something that makes your heart sing. And for me, it's community.
Okay.
Okay, so I want to make sure I stick with time. So I'm going to have both of you ask your question, but one panelist take the question. So I saw, oh, there were three. Sorry, I forgot about you. So we'll be one, two, three. There was another one, four. I just want to make sure, especially since you have questions. So we'll start with you.
Okay. Okay. So I have definitely been discriminated against, just in terms of being a woman and being in spaces that men typically occupy. And I wouldn't say even now in my position, right in Milwaukee, community work is largely, especially violence prevention, is largely male-led. And so sometimes it can be frustrating. And so how I deal with the emotion, like you said, speaks to how do I deal with that. I lean into my support system, and then I also know that I deserve to be in spaces. And so I have to continue to affirm myself. I deserve to be here. I have earned the right to be here, and no one can take that from me. And so what I spoke to earlier, when I say take up space, it's this affirmation I listened to by Tony Jones called Take Up Spaces, and I say that to myself every time. Take up space because you deserve it, you earned it. And so I remind myself every time I walk into space where people don't want me, I deserve it. And it's funny, it's comical sometimes. So you have to don't sit in the emotion too much, because then you allow yourself to lose focus, and it's just a distraction. So remind yourself these are distractions, and you don't have to pay attention to those all the time. And so find ways to move through it. Lean into your support system and continue to affirm yourself. Write your affirmations down. Speak them to yourself every day. Put a mantra on loop. You can find them on YouTube. You can find them on Tidal or Apple Music. That really helps, and helps set the tone for who you are. And when you say that and you believe it, it comes through in all of your actions. So just know that no feeling is final, and just keep moving through that and take up space.
Hello, my name is Evelyn Blything. I go to Pasadena. I asked, so a little bit of background. A year ago, I was really shy, and I knew I had a gift for writing, but I just never knew how to share that gift. But then this year, a teacher, Mr. Mario, he quite literally changed me. Helped me to grow as a person, and because of him, I have continued to grow in my writing, and I started to accept myself a little bit more than I have in the past. So for any, who's the person on, is always going to be there and help to get where you are.
Well, one, thank you for sharing. And one thing that I didn't say that you've just reminded me to say is, if someone gives you an opportunity, take it. That means someone believes in you. So why should you doubt that belief in yourself if someone is offering that up to you? So for me, I'm really blessed to have a really great support system in my family. So for me, my dad and my mom, but especially my dad, he's really involved in the Milwaukee community, and so he really pushed me to be the best that I can be. And sometimes now we have a little competition of who's who knows the most people in a room. So, but I also say, Jessica had mentioned, your support system is so important. Sometimes, if I'm feeling down or if I'm feeling inadequate, I might hit up my group chat. I have a group chat with my girlfriends, and sometimes it's not that I need them to lift me up. Maybe I just want to see a funny meme or something, right? And so that's okay too.
And this is our last question. Do I have time for two more questions? Okay, so 1 and 2.
Yeah.
Yeah, Lakita.
Can I start off? So Bernadette talked about boundaries earlier, which is something that I've only recently discovered in the last 2 years, and how beautiful they can be to just say no to certain things. But I think at the end of the day, there's those boundaries, and then the other thing I would say is being able to center yourself every day, whether that's affirmations or intentions, prayer, meditation, just being able to come with yourself to work and be present-minded. I think that's just incredibly important. And then at 4:45, close the computer and walk away if you can, or if you can't, then spend some other time outside of that day, self-care and all of that. Yeah.
My name is Azari Gibney from Milwaukee Excellence High School. My question is, if someone tells you you can't do this or you can't do that, and they start to doubt you, how do you prove them wrong?
Can I go? Try to hold myself back. I do it 10 times better. Planning is really important. We've talked a little bit about walking into situations prepared. Do your homework, whether it's going to school, whether it's doing research, but I always make sure that I'm ready to roll. And then I just, we talk about confidence. I also just have to say this. It's okay to be shy, too. You don't have to be the loudest person in the room to be perceived as having confidence, but because I'm actually really shy, I do it 10 times better, and I trust that I've prepared myself so that whatever they throw at me, I'm ready. And I also know that if I don't have all the answers or I don't do it quite right, that's okay too. I don't let that be the end all. That's the big failure, and then that takes away from all the other really good stuff that I did.
The young lady who has a question right here. So at the end, could you come up, because I want to acknowledge your question. So thank you. This has been so exciting. I just want, when you all have questions, we want to make sure that you get a chance to ask them. And just to let, Justin Bieber has a song, and the best gift that you can give back to the world is you walking in your purpose. And Justin Bieber's song says, and you've given me the best gift that I've ever known. Give me purpose. And when you walk in purpose, you will become the change you want to see in your community. So thank you so much for being here with us today. Great job, ladies.